And I don't want you to think this is something that was given to us by politicians or that this was something that was handed down from above. Because people sacrificed for this. People worked hard for this. People gave of themselves and risked and went to prison and lost their liberty and put their heart and souls and money into making this day happen. And I've been part of this movement for all of my adult life. And when we began this crusade in the early 1990s, you couldn't buy a bong in Canada. You couldn't get a marijuana seed in Canada. There was no lounges. There was no 420 protests. There was certainly no dispensaries. And over the years, these things were put in place and made into institutions not by politicians, but by regular Canadians stepping up and taking a risk and opening a shop or selling seeds or selling bongs or helping organize an event in their community because they believed in cannabis and in this cause. And in 2013, when I launched the Sensible BC campaign and we activated people all across this province to gather signatures and push for decriminalization, the thing that meant the most to me in that campaign, and that I still have today, people telling me this, that they were inspired to get up and get involved and make a difference, and how good they feel about themselves because they did that. How proud they are that they in some way played a role in bringing us to this day today. And our battle is not over yet. We still have a lot of work to do. But if you gave something, if you fought for cannabis legalization, whatever it was, if you did something, if you had some of those hard conversations, maybe you were part of Sensible BC, maybe you've supported a local dispensary, maybe you've done something, then you in some way are responsible for what has happened today. And I want you to feel pride about that and feel your power in that. Because it does not take a lot of people to make this happen. It takes dedicated, passionate people willing to give of themselves. And a small number of people can make a huge, huge difference in the world. And absolutely, we all can. And this crusade is by no means over. This Cannabis Act is a first step, or really one step of many. And it's a big step, and it's very positive, and there's a lot of good things. But there's also a lot of flaws and a lot of prohibition and a lot of stigma that they still want to attach to this plant. And so we should not sit around and wait for politicians to make this better. We shouldn't wait for the laws to improve. We've still got work to do. We still have a lot of work to do. The stigma and these laws, having these plants out here, just having one of these plants peeking over my fence, 3 months in jail and a $5,000 fine if somebody can see that plant peeking over my fence. And that is why I wanted to bring live cannabis plants be here, because isn't she a beautiful plant? Like, cannabis is so beautiful. I love it so much. And it's just so strange and wrong that they still want us to hide this plant away, and they still want us to cower away. They certainly don't want us to gather together and smoke cannabis in a public place like this. They don't want us to have private lounges where we can enjoy cannabis in a social setting the way they get to enjoy their alcohol every day. They want to continue to force us to cower and hide and have a little puff in the alley and make sure nobody sees our plant. And that's just not on. I am not standing up for that. I'm not putting up with that. I'm standing up for cannabis and for our right to share this plant, to be proud of this plant, to display it openly. Even worse than here in British Columbia, in Quebec, as of today, in Quebec, it is against the law now to sell a t-shirt or a mug or a baseball hat that has a cannabis leaf on it. Quebec has gone so far back against prohibition that they're trying to ban any imagery of the cannabis plant from being sold. That t-shirt there, if somebody tried to sell you that shirt, they could go to jail in Quebec. And so that is just ridiculous. And so there's still a large pushback, and it really is exposing a lot of the fear and the ignorance out there around cannabis, because this is a wonderful opportunity for provinces and cities to put a real good legalization in place, to really end cannabis prohibition. But pretty much everywhere across the country, we're seeing paranoia, we're seeing fear, and we're seeing these laws that are so harsh and